When looking online for photos of Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, I was struck by the predominance of images in which the camera seems to find him with a stunned look on his face and frequently with his mouth hanging open. I would say he either has a breathing problem or else he's expressing astonishment at the idiocy of Trump supporters, which must be why he is now on a quixotic quest to challenge the validity of the election January 6th, even while his more direct boss, the corrupt turtle, is begging him to keep his pants on. Otherwise, all the Republican senators will have to vote, putting them at risk of offending Trump, and therefore his now fully and entirely and certifiably crazy followers. I'll tell you that I already had very little regard for this youngest schmuck congressman because I remember he ran and won in Missouri against Claire McCaskill in 2018, campaigning that he and his party were against the repeal of the pre-existing conditions mandate in Obamacare, while fully knowing they had a case in court trying to do that very thing. This is the full-on shamelessness, depravity, and really just giant BS that characterizes all things GOP in the era of Trump. But hey, it's Missouri, so just like Alabama, if you have an R next to your name, unless you're a convicted murderer, they'll elect you to Congress ahead of anyone with a D next to their name. So what is he doing now? He's raising money, obviously, the same thing everyone from Trump on down is doing. None of these venal anti-democratic cowards believe for 1 minute their seditious behavior will overturn elections or anything else, but one thing they do know, their followers are so mind-numbingly delusional and naive, they will keep on sending money believing they will actually accomplish something. And apparently, Josh here has designs on the presidency. He's a real ambitious Arkansan, and so he thinks he might just get into the White House in 2024, and he's calculating this gambit will get him into the good graces of the MAGA crowd. So, is he making the right call? What does his astrology chart show? Well, it shows he's a Capricorn, giving the sign a bad name by playing to the naked ambition of all low-end crappycorns. But the engine in his chart is the T-square formed by Mercury, Neptune in Sagittarius, opposite the Moon in Gemini, and square Mars, Saturn in Virgo. If he's born earlier in the day, then the Mars gains greater notoriety in this T-square because it brings it closer to squaring the Moon. If later, then Saturn is far more determinative because it begins to look more like a T-square that links Mercury, Neptune to the Moon and Saturn. Whichever way it goes, when you see Mars, Saturn, and the Moon in any important configuration, you immediately know the person is potentially hardworking and ambitious. The Neptune would say idealism on the high end and Trumpy deception and delusion on the low end. You already know which way I see this one. He was lying about Obamacare, and he's now involved in another giant deception. Does it work? Well, here's the problem. He is making this move with what seems like a Neptune stimulus, since the planet is very likely squaring the Moon right around now, and therefore pointing to a birth somewhere in the middle hours of the day. When people make big moves in their life, you typically see the big planets lining up to show it. But look ahead to 2024, and you see Neptune by then in late Pisces, and karmic repayment boss, Saturn, also in Pisces, when Josh would be trying to get into the White House. That Saturn is in a crunching square to Mercury at birth, and might quite possibly be hitting the Moon pretty hard as well, so odds are excellent its transit through Pisces, triggering the T-square from the other end, will not be any fun. Translation, Hawley's presidential quest is suffering from really unfortunate timing. His odds of winning are between 0 and -1. In fact, short of the presidency, he's going to be up for re-election in 2024. And with a planetary scenario like this, he may not even be able to keep his Senate seat. Gosh, Josh, if only you were actually smart and were able to really look ahead to the future to see what you should be doing now. Instead, you'll forever be remembered as the leader of the clown car. Oh, and I'm sure Mitch will soon forgive you for this too.